Okay, before anyone comments on my critique,
Okay, we don't need this disclaimer. Trash it for now. I need a new one anyways. This is gonna be a lot more personal than the usual critique anyway. I got a lot for this one, so let's make room for more important things. So, why am I here? What's so important to make this unique? Well, today's an important day. A day which made my online presence more notable in an attempt to gain an audience. Today is the day I started this very YouTube channel because I found making videos were fun. Well, fun. And what I'm doing to celebrate this important day? Well, as someone who's always critiqued other users and looked back on them, I've always thought, what about myself? I've always wanted to roast my mentally stunted older works, but I also wanted to show my hardships on the web and show how much I've grown over the years alongside getting more stuff out about myself. Because overall, I really did feel like I grew a lot just in the past year alone. But I think I'd also like to get a bit more of a scale as to what's going on in my life and basically how important this milestone especially is to me. Plus, I also think it's good for y'all to see the lore behind some of my previous usernames too, because if you discover me through a video and now realize that I have a new name change, well, this will explain that to all you. So yeah, now that we got all that out of the way, let's start looking at my 18 years of living and making content for the entire web. Part 1. The start of life and basic media consumption during childhood. Okay, I'm starting to think I'm getting a bit ahead of myself. So yeah, let's start at the beginning on January 24th, 2004. Yours truly was born after being the first in an immediate family. My 2000s material is all lost media. Hell, everything pre-2011 is lost media, but I do have some memories from that time period I want to share with you all. My first really creative inspirations in my earliest years started with TV with many shows, mainly from Nick, Cartoon Network, and PBS Kids. My favorites were, and mostly still are, SpongeBob, Adventure Time, Regular Show, Gumball, Phineas and Ferb, Baby Einstein, Little Einsteins, and Curious George. They all helped me find my creative identity with my plots and characters, and I also was a big reader back then, with Marley and Me being my favorite book series pre-2011. Considering he's a silly screw-up, I think he secretly made me the way I am now. Nah, too conspiratory. Unless... Nope. Let's not go there. Now that we got both of those memes out of the way, let me show you how I became a gamer. A life choice which will affect me most looking back, seeing how addicted I was to video games, and pretty much still am knowing my Steam history. So, you see, back in 2010, my dad got me and my brother a DSi with 2 games, Phineas and Ferb Bride Again and New Super Mario Bros. The latter of which hooked me and made me a gamer, alongside being a Mario fan. But it didn't stop here. Alongside getting more games for my DSi, I also got something in Christmas 2010 which would permanently cement my gamerage, which would be my Nintendo Wii. Specifically the red New Super Mario Bros. Wii. And yeah, it was a pretty magical time seeing me and my brother playing a video game at the same time, which at the time just felt like a very foreign concept that just blew my mind away. And yeah, I also got introduced to more series as well, like Sonic and Donkey Kong Country, which taught me that video games could be a lot more than simple distractions or basically money gouging schemes for the shows I liked. So from then on, I got major video game brain rot. It's why my music taste isn't normal, because I started listening to video game OSTs all the time. Please don't kill me, music fans. I also became quite the dork as well, so yeah, thank you video games. I appreciate your love. But yeah, now we're getting very distracted right now, so let's get back on track with the next part. Part 2. Computers in school, oh my. So now we are in 2011, and Dad has something that would change my life for good. My dad got us both a Toshiba Satellite L735D, a kid's laptop that came with Lego Batman, but more importantly was my exposure to digital art via MS Paint and the internet in general, which I used a lot, especially an old obscure indie site known as YouTube? Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I could go on forever what I did on the web, but I could just summarize it as a bunch of flash games I played all the time, and looking at mostly gaming subjects on YouTube. But of course, 2011 marks the beginning point of my media archive and my first digital drawings. Do you want to see them? Well, here we go. 3, 2, 1. Okay, I have a lot to explain here. So this is SpongeBob and Patrick from their hit show, but they look way off. SpongeBob is a rectangular amputee who is dead from the looks of things. We'll get more to that later. And while Patrick looks marginally better, but it's clear he grew a third leg and is mangled to all hell, which made him very pissed apparently. And now I have to tell you all about that anatomy. Let's get to the more jarring aspect. This blood splatter, and I know it's a blood splatter because SpongeBob and Patrick are holding guns, from what I could tell. And what happens when you shoot guns? Well, yeah, you may be knowing what's coming up next. So you may be wondering, Spacey, what made your 2011 self want to draw this? And my answer is, I'm not too sure. I know it was from a YouTube video, but there could be some wild ass video that could have inspired me that no one knows about, but I knew about because, well, I had lots of free time on the internet. But if I attempted to narrow it down, I would have to assume it would be this video known as SpongeBob Kills Patrick Remake. Like, I vaguely remember seeing this video when I was young and thinking it was badass, alongside like other killing videos, because that's what all you Zoomers have been watching, including me. So I took it and made in drawing form. Yeah, it's not that understandable, but at the time, it was super cool. Being a kid in 2011. The next drawing I made that is still in the archive is from 2012, and it's pretty basic by comparison to the previous drawing. Just a Batman drawing from me seeing a bunch of Batman stuff when I was younger, mainly Batman Brave and the Bold and Lego Batman. It still has the poopy anatomy and godly faces, but it's not that special by comparison to that SpongeBob one I showed earlier. Now that we blasted through 2011 and 2012, let's look at a year that majorly impacted me, that being 2013, where my school time was spent in a double life. One was me and someone named Niall being villains and fighting Colin, and someone who I'll mention later, with us finding blueprints and winning in the end. And I had a series which I played with an IRL friend who owns a YouTube channel known as Awesome Guy Inflatable Channel, now known as Blue Spartans, who is the same one who worked with Colin in that Villains vs. Heroes Pretend thing. And that series was known as Potato Head Adventures, which is basically a series about us as Potato Head heroes defeating a villain who was played by another person known as Robbie, and we had epic adventures doing many things like finding new friends and defeating stuff made by the bad guy. The plot was nonsense, but it was fun for our 2013 selves. Some memories I had include several times where we were introduced to new characters. That time I made a time travel arc for the series thanks to me watching the 2003 TMNT's Season 6 intro Fast Forward, which was also how I got the name, funnily enough. And when the heroes and villains of Potato Head Adventures teamed up to solve problems in the universe via portals. Very nostalgic to me and helped me craft stories. The only remnants of Potato Head Adventures that exist now are these two drawings I made. One being a tie-in video game. On as many systems, despite this drawing being made in 2013, there's still a PS2 version. I guess it's fitting considering the PS2 was still on its last legs. But even better is that this is an Xbox One and PS4 launch title. Okay, no. The other thing I have is the Wath Whatever You Want VHS. Yes, I did not have the best grammar in 2013. Same goes for the back. And yes, my layouts look just so good. And those bonus features are great too. And yeah, that ends my talk about Potato Head Adventures, considering the rest of it's bit too vague for me to figure out in my head. Yeah, I can't really say I have too many solid memories of elementary school. Most of my memories are just very, very vague pieces that I just formed together to form my childhood. Speaking of which, let's talk about some of those other scattershot moments. The rest of elementary school was most average, and the rest of the stuff I made there is lost media because it's basically stuck on a lot of media devices and paper, which have all been lost to time due to them being media devices and paper. One is Toontastic, which we played in the iPad room, which doesn't exist anymore, and also at home. I made mostly Mario, Angry Birds, and other stuff too. Sadly, Toontastic is dead, so I can never retrieve it outside of thumbnails, so yeah, that's gonna be something that I'm gonna regret not saving. The other thing I made was GoAnimate stuff. Okay, I never used the software, but we did use paper to make something very, very similar to GoAnimate, specifically character elimination. a semi-obscure subdrama to go anime based on total drama and object shows, which both of us were major fans of at the time, alongside other character elimination videos. We did over 11 seasons of this papery series, and we wanted to continue it even further than that, but we were stopped as soon as elementary school stopped, so yeah, that was pretty abrupt, but it still lasted a pretty long time considering the shortness of elementary school days. And yes, it was cliche as ever, with emotional moments like the Balloon Starter Fence sub getting eliminated and the Balloon Starter Fence Buccaneer getting sad and Baby Show characters getting eliminated first. It did inspire stories, but my Go Anime era was one which I didn't look back on well in hindsight. And it did make me cringe a fair bit, albeit not that much considering how innocent I was back then and how fun it was for me considering what I had to deal with later. But now that at this point I've graduated from elementary school, I had to move on to middle school in 2016. Which not only was a radical shift for the world, but also was a radical shift for me as a person considering I was starting to mature around this time. One of my many maturities I had around this time was my creative maturity into making stuff that would stick with me for the rest of the time. Basically making up my entire creative backbone for the rest of my life. What helps is that around this time I actually got myself a hard drive, so I actually have good documentation of this era, unlike my lost media ridden elementary school days. Starting with tech class, which is one of two classes I really loved and managed to impact me a lot, I was introduced to Photoshop, version 6. Yeah, my middle school had both version 6 and CS6, and we used the old one. Despite this, I made some creative stuff in Photoshop, which includes... Yep, these speak for themselves, very cursed, but at the very least they're interesting. I also made some stuff in PowerPoint for assignments, which includes some informational stuff and a story. Starting with the informational stuff, we have stuff about me, which contains nothing too special, but we do have this story.
Hey, how do you like this vacation? I think it's amazing.
Name withheld.
Do you want to have some snacks? Why, yes. Wow, was that good? Those snacks were good. Thanks.
Well damn, that was something. From breaking the hotel to the generic dialogue, it really showed my skills at the time. Alas, let's look at another informational PowerPoint about the history of video games, which isn't too interesting, but it does contain epic run-on sentences, which I really had a big problem with back then. Of course, despite those being interesting in their own rights, the real meat with the PowerPoints is the story I made. A field trip story I made going to the world of Homestar Runner, which was a series I got into around the time. So let's get into viewing this because, oh boy, this is some wild riffing material. Already we see the epic production values of this with the flamintext.com watermark right next to the text. The fact it looks like cheesy word art makes it even better. It also looks like my Homestar Runner fan senses are tingling, and it's saying that Strong Badia is not the entire country the Homestar Runner characters live in. It's Free Country USA. Strong Badia is just a part of Free Country USA. This simple little mistake will not get too much under my nerves considering it's my past self. Who am I kidding? I'm of course gonna get annoyed at that. Well, let's just continue on. But before I do that, I'm gonna just say that I'm gonna be ending quite a bit of this, considering how much dead air there is in the presentation. This was originally just meant for school, so I don't think timing really mattered that much, but here, I'm not gonna be wasting your time.
Gee, I wonder when Strong Dad is going to pick us up.
I wonder if he is going to be here at all.
I agree with both of those statements.
Okay, we have a lot to take in here. So here am I, and two of my at the time favorite characters. Dave from BFDI, I don't know why I even saw him back then, so don't ask, who is out of character already because he isn't supposed to talk. He's supposed to say, but even back then, I guess I knew that was flat characterization, so I made it my own thing. Though, that was a slight improvement overall, depending on how you view things. If you're really that much of a BFDI purist, just roast me in the comment section. I'll take it. Pac-Man is also here, who even back then I knew was a favorite character of mine, and is still a favorite character of mine to this day. But all he's here for is to say shit like, I agree. Surely, a great character with deep characterization. I really was a writing expert back then. Also, to solve an elephant in the room, this is not Spacey. Spacey was a character I created way later after this. Hell, this character was made before that other character who I still use as a mascot. I don't even really get why I chose him. I'm not blonde, and I'm certainly not barefoot, so this is a pretty odd choice, but overall, not that bad of a choice compared to like a lot of the other things here, so let's continue.
Name withheld.
Magma and David, what's up?
Oh, I'm doing good.
Me too.
Me three.
So do you want to go down? Stop the chit-chatting?
Geez, Strong Bad, we've only talked for like, what, 10 seconds? I get you might be a bit antisocial and socially stunted, but please talk for a little longer.
Yes, let's go.
Yeah, I'm tired of all this talking.
I agree 100% about those statements.
That's not enough confirmation, Pac-Man. You have to say, I agree 100% totally very much for it to register to these people. Okay, I didn't mention this earlier, but why do they have luggage? It generally feels so inconvenient. I mean, we're not traveling to Kokomo for vacation, we're going to Free Country USA. Not Strong Baddie, you fucking dolt. Oh wow, I didn't know the interior of a van looked like a car. That's some amazing continuity there.
Name withheld.
Pac-Man and David.
Hi, Homestar.
Car.
Okay, the fact they technically said that in unison is pretty creepy. Also size changing luggage. God, is this PowerPoint cursed or something? Am I gonna like die after watching this?
So what do you want to do? Strong baddie, huh?
I want to answer some emails.
I would want to play with some cheap commandos.
I would want to meet Lil Broder.
Wow, David, way to trigger Homestar. Also, we don't see Little Broader here at all. False advertising at its finest.
I think those are great ideas.
Oh, we're almost here.
Oh, you excited? We're almost here.
I don't know, I think we've been stuck in this white void for way too long now. I think we're off course by a very long shot. Now that was some great sliding, but now I question the phantom luggage. Ooh.
Oh, what do you want to do first?
I think
Name withheld.
should pick.
I think that's a great idea. So,
Name withheld.
what should we do first?
My god, the dialogue's so boring in this. No personality whatsoever. This is why I'm skipping a lot of this. It's so fucking boring. Too much dead air. But before I do that, let's look at the final moment we will be in Strong Badia in this Strong Badia field trip video. Yes, I told you that title was gonna hold very little relevance.
Guys, any questions before I answer this email?
How many emails have you answered?
David, I've answered over 206 emails.
Yeah, you could tell this is old since emails 207, 208, and 209 had not released yet when I made this. God, the fact this PowerPoint thing is so old is surreal to me. Also, one of the things we had to do for this assignment was that we had to insert 3 fun facts into there. So, that's why the pace completely halts whenever I speak a funny little fact. Of course, that implies there's some pacing here, which, yeah, you could decide for yourself what this has pacing.
Dear Strongbad, how do you know all of these people?
Wow, even the computer is self-aware of how this crossover makes no logical sense. How smart. Also, gotta love that subject line. So accurate.
Oh,
Name withheld.
Glad you can answer now.
Okay. We were friends since I went to Lake Placid in 2016.
Yes, this is how I was introduced to Homestar Runner. In February 2016, I went to Lake Placid, and I decided to watch one of the Strong Bad emails, which was in my recommended. I got addicted, and the rest goes on from here. Man, I missed that vacation. I had lots of fun there in the cold and in the cabin. It even had PS2, which I played a lot of Ratchet & Clank with. Man, the memories. Oh, sorry, let's continue on before the nostalgia completely engulfs me.
Wow, what a great response.
You know, I love how I wrote that completely unironically. Makes it look like Strong Bad is a preschool or special ed teacher, or maybe he could be sarcastic. But even then, I think at the time I was not clever enough to come up with that.
Oh, guys!
Man, what a mad entrance, Strong Mad. Man, I got Strong Mad completely out of character. He is so much more sophisticated than he is in the actual cartoons.
I think we should go.
Okay, the cheat could speak English? Could that be a super secret the cheat kept from us this whole time? No, not really.
Okay, what do you want to play first?
Let's play with some cheat commandos.
Okay.
1 hour later in the gay color scheme. Glad he came out of the closet and came out as gay to us. Very proud of him. Or it's just corporate Pride Month stuff, either or.
Wow, was that fun?
Yes, that was fun.
Yeah, I don't think just standing there counts as playing Homestar and myself from 2016. Now that I think about it though, did an hour really pass? That would make just amount of sense, really.
So, what do you want to play next?
Let's play the Wii U.
The Wii U? That system doesn't exist anymore.
Hey, did you know I have a game for it? Stray. Wiki and Strong Bad School game for attractive people.
Yeah, I already know that exists.
One of the few bouts of self-awareness in this entire PowerPoint. Congrats 2016 me. Yeah, when I play video games, I just stare at the title screen for an hour or two.
Strong Bad, I think you and your friends must go outside.
Oh boy, I wonder what would your response Strong Bad will respond with?
Okay, Strong Sad, let's go outside!
Oh, it's nothing. Strong Bad's just a complete pushover. Yeah, I couldn't write jokes when I was younger. Could you tell?
Okay, yeah, and Strong Bad is our landmark the stick.
On Strong Bad, this place is boring.
Same, Pac-Man. In fact, I'll skip all of this since it's all marzipan filler. It drags out even more than usual. Like, seriously, I'm not gonna subjugate you with that much torture.
Next here's the King of Town's castle.
Oh, so Pom Pom is here too.
Oh, who are these visitors?
Don't worry, King of Town. Strong Bad and Homestar are trying to make the next Pooh's Adventures. Sadly, they only got third-rate characters to join.
That's just
Nameless Hound.
Pac-Man and David.
Oh, I thought they were robbers.
See? Pom Pom is just making bubble noises. No talking whatsoever. More proof to my cheat English thing from a while ago.
Hey, on April Fool's 2003, I had my very own webpage. Yes, everyone, let's move on to our final place.
Look, even badly written Strong Bad finds the fact bad. And another hint of self-awareness. Also, really, that's the best I could have done? I could have done a lot better. Hey Bubs, you looking like you were a victim to the JPEG compression. I think you need to see a doctor.
Welcome to Bub's Concession Stand, how may I help you?
Hey, do you guys want something?
Yes! Well, we have some donuts from Donutland.
Oh god, that spelling of donut is a crime against spelling itself. And I caused so many crimes like that during my younger years. At least I know I can check spelling now, so there isn't as much crimes going on right now.
Yes, we want some donuts.
Thanks, Bubs, for the donut.
Wait, are you ever gonna pay for that? No? Well, now that's some shoplifting. At least SJW, Yas Queen, oversensitive communist Twitter Tumblr users will be proud of this epic crime.
Let's now share the duff nut.
Wait, please, don't eat me.
Sorry, too late, we're gonna eat you.
Excuse me, what? Okay, I can add cannibalism to the list of crimes committed now. Thank goodness we are in the autism verse where main characters always win.
That was tasty, but I didn't really like the jelly inside it.
Don't you try to hide that shame. You like it past me.
Okay, we're going to be leaving now.
Honestly, same. I've been stuck here for way too long. Getting quite bored. Is there any sort of snacks I can have before I leave?
Okay, bye from everyone.
So that we don't waste any slides, we will throw you into this random portal.
Okay, so the final rule for the PowerPoint is that we could only have 10 slides. I'm glad this was in place, or else we would have been here for way longer. And I'm talking about way longer considering how many Homestar characters I would have probably included. Jesus, I didn't know Strongback could banish people to the Shadow Realm. I just hope that wasn't attempted murder. Or any crime here. Let's just hope Strongback doesn't end up in jail again.
Okay, let's leave now.
Wait for me.
Could you tell that Code Z was the last minute addition? So yeah, that was a masterpiece. You could also guess how the other endeavors went based on this. Yeah, PowerPoint wasn't really it in terms of my video style. Never used PowerPoint since, and I don't really regret it. But still, we have more to look at. I also made music videos. 2 exactly. One was where we used GIFs and text to make lyrics videos. For that, I used Iron Maiden's Wasted Years, a highly nostalgic song to me, and influenced my music taste quite a lot. Nothing much to note. If you've seen the lyrics videos of the 2010s or basically whatever decade, well, you could just imagine that, but with funny images. The second one, though, is something else, featuring my epic Photoshop skills, alongside the Love Roller Coaster by the Ohio Players, which I didn't understand the lyrics of at the time, so I made some unfortunate implications. If you heard the OG song, then you should get me, but if you haven't, I don't know, just listen to it, or at the very least look at the more questionable lyrics. Of course, despite both of these not being that special, they did kickstart something pretty important in me, and that's my video editing hobby. Spacey videos wouldn't be existing today if it weren't for Iron Maiden lyrics video with a bunch of funny gifs and text on it. Outside of all that, I had one more thing up my sleeve during 2016, artwork NOCs. This is one of the high points of my art motivation, so there should be a whole lot to go through. There's some basic art assignments, there's Bad Piggy's journal showing off ideas I had for the game since I loved it a lot at the time, and I kept it updated for slightly over 6 months, and honestly, I think that is way too dedicated for it, alongside the blue crayon I use for it for the most part. Even, I think most of my memories of this are pretty vague, so I don't have much to say on this. Something I have slightly more memories of are these Homestar Runner character portraits I did, and oh god, this is wildly weird for both godly and uncanny reasons, and I only got to draw some of the cast. I wonder what characters like Marzipan and Senior Cartgage would have looked like in this messed up style I had. All completely from memory as well, which completely fucking hilarious to me considering that's probably the worst way you could ever draw any sort of character. There's also some miscellaneous works too, and they're also odd. But considering most of my works around this time were just odd doodles here or there, I shouldn't be too shocked. But let's look at what I'm doing with here. So we got this giant throwing the earth for some reason. Sharing is communism? What is this SJW, Tumblr, Twitter, Yas Queen politics? And let's not forget flooring, which to this day is the oddest thing I ever made. Let's hope this thing doesn't invade your dreams and nightmares, people, because oh boy, that would be such a very bad thing. Alongside fan art in more strange situations was OCs. I had a few concepts for them back then, including the previously mentioned flooring, and before I get to the one you all know and love, let's get to all the rejects I had. Starting with Shape Man. Yeah, this design is godly, and the description's even better. My superhero would be called Shape Man. He throws shape grenades at the bad guys. He could create anything like a bridge or a car. He typically works alone, but he sometimes works with one other hero. He made out of shapes mainly squares, triangles, and circles. He was also an accident from a lab. That's all about my superhero. Yeah, I also had several odd writings. Most not too special, but there is this one crossover writing that was hysterical to everyone who read it. And I'm gonna share it to you guys as well. Isn't that wonderful? One day, all the good guys went to the zoo. The bad guys were also there. When they bumped into the good guys, Leonard, Charmander, Chimchar, Charizard, Rayquaza, Mr. Flu, Big Minion, and the Angry Birds. They're now inside cages, so the rest of the heroes fought the bad guys and freed the rest of the heroes and fled. Very godly, isn't it? A masterclass in terms of writing. Back on topic now, I also had several other OC ideas as well, like the sky beings based on object shows, an insect gang with a bee design I want to repurpose in the future, the Jiggies, who were the first characters I tried to develop, but they didn't go far, mostly because the lore they had resembled a okay but forgettable cartoon that aired for a few months before being relegated to a secondary network during the 2000s and 2010s. There was some decent content art, but I wanted to be more flexible than jigsaw pieces, and one day it happened. On October 24th, 2016, history was made, and the beginning point of the second half of my life would begin. Arcade Machine. Oh yeah, and a bunch of other randoms as well, based on object shows. Yep, Arcade Machine started as an object show character meant for a hypothetical object show with Spartans as one of the hosts, but eventually he became something else beyond the show's scope. The first example of this would have to be a 3-part comic I made with Arcade Machine and a few of his buddies going to Dream Island for BFDI. I'm not going to fully comment on it since the flaws are just super jarring and obvious. Just knowing that my arcade lore around this time contains both BFDI and Amanda and Sandy characters. Hell, Test Tube even appears setting up a cliffhanger which never got resolved because, as I figured out, it kinda sucked. I also had other object OCs planned if this camp picture's anything to go by, but I guess it was eventually thrown out because the other pieces of lore were not that great to begin with, and these characters didn't look like they were going to change that. But yeah, you could definitely see the foundation of what was to become my internet presence, so let's continue on to the best year in my personal opinion, 2017, where we get to see me truly grow and evolve. Part 3. The start of internet brain rot. 2017, you were so great to us. 2017 was an amazing year filled with so much optimism and hope, and also lots of fun things as well. Mostly in terms of video games, since I was very excited for the Nintendo Switch around this time, and whenever there was a Switch to play, oh boy, you know I had to play it. And then I got the Switch Christmas 2017, and I played it quite a bit until I started to fall off of Nintendo a little bit, and then it started to become a bit of a, well, doorstop. Kind of. I still play it once in the blue moon, but don't expect me to be on it that much. Back on topic now, and outside the Nintendo Switch being such a big hype machine for me, there was also a lot of great evolutions for me, and figuring out what I was going to do in the future. My OC-verse around this time was experiencing a bit of an evolution, as Arcade Machine got a slight redesign, and to this day it's the current design, cause you can't change perfection. Well, perfection to me at the very least. I also got into an Object Show Facebook group, and I interacted with several OCs and even got some fan art, which was neat. Arcade Machine was even in some random PowerPoint Bendy and Ink Machine project, and that made me pretty happy at the time. I also made more art as a result of being noticed, for which I had this sense of community as well. Though, the big caveat with my OC-verse at this time was that it was based on interest which would slowly die off after 2017, and also Arcade Machine was the only OC I used during 2017, which made the verse very limited, especially since I couldn't interact with people as much as I always wanted to. Though there was one exception, and it was in real life rather than on the internet. This is something I've not really shared to the internet at all, since it was filled with a bunch of private life stuff, considering that there was also a real life person there. Yeah, it wouldn't have been smart to share it back then, or even now really, but I will still share it since it's funny in hindsight, and I kinda lost contact with a lot of the people there anyway, so it should be fun to look back at this. The thing in question was a journal I had, which was basically me and a bunch of my friends OCs heading on a magical journey, destroying McDonald's and invading a fat kid's house because we thought that was great at the time because we had a vendetta against one of them. Yeah, that was just pure autism. Yeah, there was a lot of concept art and stuff, but the concept didn't stick too long, and I would later move on as soon as summer hit the bed, so thus this just ends up being a time capsule during my school year of 2017. Of course, all that kind of ends up being unimportant as soon as summer hit because, oh boy, this change is gonna be pretty massive. Well, more specifically 2 changes, but they all intertwine to make the thing I am today. First was me joining Puyo Nexus, and the point where I got obsessed with Puyo Puyo after hearing about it during the Switch presentation in January, but that doesn't get much focus until 2018. The second thing I did was this very YouTube channel. Yes, this very channel here. But it wasn't known as Spacey at first. It was under the name Monkey Puyo, which was what I used from around 2017 to most of 2018. I'm not exactly sure when it dropped, but I believe somewhere around mid-2018 is when it was dropped. During the beginning of this channel, it was very experimental, not having any set form of content or even a vision. Mostly just uploading shitposts and other random garbage. Let's look at my very first video on my channel to see what I was like back then before I even found my formula. Hello? Already this is a start. Imagine this was your introduction to me. Despite being a part of chorus in 4th grade, I was never a singer. I looked like an obnoxious theater or band kid here, and that completely clashed with my personality even back then. Also, fuck theater and band kids. I know some of y'all are actually based outside of those realms, but come on, I just find that shit annoying. Can we please end this trend soon? Please? Everyone. Man, Microsoft's new Xbox naming scheme is even more confusing than its last. It's not even called an Xbox anymore. Welcome to my YouTube channel, and now I should probably stop singing. This guy is my spirit animal, or spirit person, or even spirit thing, but whatever he is, he's exactly thinking what I'm thinking right now. Sadly, this is his only appearance, and that's sad. Make the hashtag bring back random stick figure from 2017 trend on Twitter to see this legend come back. The fact Arcade Machine changed his solid form between frames really showed that my characters were made out of jello back then. But anyway guys, welcome to Monkey Puyo. This is my YouTube channel. You might know me from Facebook, Puyo Nexus, or whatever sites I use. So that Facebook has some personal information of mine and a lot of shit I'd rather bury, so yeah, smart move 2017 me for exposing that to the public, or an attempt to, considering how small I was. Really a blessing in disguise when I look back at it. And this is my YouTube channel. So, what is gonna be on my YouTube channel? Well, mainly I think of doing reviews, probably a few story videos, a let's plays if I could, and a few other stuff. Gee, I wonder why I stuck with in the end. What a mystery. And yes, this was before critiques even came to my mind for me, since I was only starting to get exposed to DA reviews now, since they were starting to blow up, and locale culture was pretty new to me, so I had a lot of time to explore that. In 2017 though, I wasn't sure if locale culture was going to be something I'm going to be obsessed with, or if it's just going to become a trend that I would forget about. Well, knowing critiques started to become a major part of my channel as time went on, yeah, they did stick. So, click that subscribe button, and you have the possibility of seeing a channel with tons of great videos. Man, I really did make my channel look like one of those shitty investment scams. Also, most people won't sub to you because you're not ready for it. Even with my expectation being small, I was still overhyping how many subs I would get, a little bit. Yeah man, you would have to wait quite a long time to get to even 100 subs, knowing how harsh the algorithm was. But yeah, you can easily tell I was new to the whole YouTube thing, but I did eventually find one part of my bread and butter after all the random shit I posted for a few months. That being a review on Wild Snake on the SNES, and the review is okay for being my first outing. I didn't use a script at all back then, so it comes as very clunky, and I didn't have a formula, so it was interesting to find what stuck with me, but I think I also highly overrated Wild Snake 2. Sure, I still agree that the slithering is satisfying, but the game is shallow and bland as fuck, making it far from worth it. I will drop the score by a lot now, but back then my taste wasn't as refined, and my critical eye wasn't the sharpest either. Still, I wouldn't beat myself over this, especially since I had way cringier things I did back then, like, way cringier things. Like, it's genuinely embarrassing to me, kinda cringe. So it's best to look at this as a simple stepping stone rather as an embarrassing failure, especially considering that it did breed my reviews later on, which, while they're not the best, I still think are a very big improvement over my first one, and really shows how much I've grown as a person. That's all I really have to say about 2017 really. It's a golden age for me and it led to a lot of creative startups, but let's see how long that'll last heading into 2018, and yeah, it did last for the most part, but there was some issues starting to show and some cracks were starting to form. 2018 did see myself moving on to do some great things like expanding my OC lore quite a bit with new characters and sharing my ideas for the first time in other circles, and I did improve my editing quite a bit, but that was also when I acted like a stupid asshole all the time and I did not handle it well, and I was too indulgent in Puyo Puyo. I even mixed my OC lore in it, which ended up making it a lot worse overall. And there was also when the wokeness went full on mainstream, and I was not critical of it at the time, being a typical obnoxious user about it, you know, the typical Twitter user kind of stereotype. This is also the point where my art was starting to kind of have a bit of a downpour, since I honestly am not really that proud of this artwork compared to art of previous, and especially later years. None of the charm of the previous works, but none of the quality of my modern works, with very wooden characters and no attempt to make anything ambitious at all. On the positive side though, this is when the first incarnation of critiques happened, and they've held up decently well alongside all my other video content that year. And the only real big flaw I can think of with these critiques, and it's kind of a mild flaw in the grand scheme of things, is that the video topics I tackled were pretty much not that special. They were just kind of boring overall, but they did illustrate my problems with the website, which even during my most autistic phases, I never really liked DeviantArt, and I got even less incentive to join as I matured further. But still, viewing these today, they've really held up decently, and I felt like I was really pushing the limits of the iMovie editor I was using around this time for my Mac, which, yes, that was exactly what I used at the time, but it was still pretty mid overall, and I still didn't use a script because I was too dense and stuck in my ways to think about like, oh, I am special, I could just improv this, even though it was not a good idea, and it harmed the video quality overall, even if those elements did stick around to my modern work. But yeah, despite being pretty happy for the most part in 2018, I felt something was missing for myself and felt more and more dissatisfied when the content as time went on, and the brief moments of sadness I did feel were some of the most extreme I've had in quite a long time, and they're still the most extreme even now. If it weren't for a few mutuals who were sticking by me for some reason, like, you guys are really that dedicated, I would have fallen into a pretty dark path. Continuing back on track though, this was around the time I also started changing my name to Magic Pack and then to Spacey. And while most of 2019 was spent rebuilding my ground, I was also doing live streams around this time, and yeah, they were pretty boring honestly, mostly considering I can't really keep the charisma up for like an entire live stream, so it ended up being pretty boring for the most part. And while I did have some good conversations, including one in my Pac-Man Championship Edition DX stream, which really portrayed my mental state around that time, it still managed to really not click with anyone, and not even I myself was proud of them. Art also basically stopped around this time, since I only did some pixel stuff and like 1 to 2 real drawings, and it overall felt like I was doing this as a grind, an obligation, rather than me being happy about it. Like, sure, I was getting some retweets for it, but what was that costing me? What was that basically showing about what my passions are? What was the point of this? This was something I really thought about during the entirety of 2019, and with the 2020 starting to start, I am ready to just move on. I was ready to move on from all this. All my A-logs were past me, every single other thing was past me at this time. All I had was me, and I had to rebuild my image somehow, so thus I started to redo my art and video making, starting with the videos of course, which would eventually lead to the 2020s, and now. Part 4, Reevaluation and Reflection. Now heading into the 2020s, and this is where I'm at now. 2020 was a time of reflecting and improving on what I had made. I decided to restart my video and art series because the quality of the old videos and art are cringe and wouldn't fit well with what I have now. Videos can still be found in an unlisted playlist I made, and I plan on putting my older works on itch.io page to download for free. Take that, creators who hate archiving and make their shit lost to me because you were embarrassed by them. I too am embarrassed by a lot of the stuff I have made, but I'm willing to share it anyways as a way of showing how I evolved over the years. And tangentially related to that, creators, stop making your shit lost to me because, oh, that's getting more attention than my current stuff. Like, fuck off with that mentality, because instead of fostering new people to get into your current content, you instead think it's a better idea to peer pressure people into your newer content. And if they were not interested in your current content anyway, what's removing it gonna do? I certainly know they're not gonna try to view your modern stuff because they were never interested in it in the first place. Try to keep all your audiences in one place. Like, if someone wants to view your older content and is not interested in your one, don't punish them for being an older fan. Just allow them to be an older fan and allow your new fans to be new fans. I mean, I support content creators going in different directions and restarting themselves. Hell, I'm a fan of the same thing, but making your shit lost media for that and wanting to hide your past is a donkey dicks move. Okay, sorry if this seemed a bit extreme, but this is something I had to vent out for a very long time. I had an idea for a rant on this for years, but I couldn't quite make it a full rant since it was basically something more akin to a tangent. And yeah, I think I went on for way too long, so let's get back to the main topic here. First, we had the videos, which I returned to back in 2020, and while they did start kind of weak, they eventually evolved into some of my proudest material yet. Not only did I finally use a script, but Sony Vegas provided all kinds of new editing possibilities. What also helped in mid-2020 was the fact that I upgraded to a new PC I'm using now, and it was way more efficient than the last one, making the process a lot easier. If you want to see more detailed thoughts on each video, look at the yearly retrospectives, but in terms of how I feel overall, I'm happy with what I have. I just have to do more game reviews now. I've been slacking on those for a while now. The next year in 2021, I returned to art, and I feel similar about this as I do the videos, but a bit lesser. Not too much to the point where I self-deprecate a lot, but it's still a point where I really feel like I could evolve a lot more. The early 2021 art especially feels probably a bit worse than my 2018 works if I'm being honest. Mostly because I could see a lot of that early artwork fitting on some OC cringe Twitter account or an autistic ass DeviantArt account, but later on I did actually find my groove and I improved quite a lot. In fact, I'm actually pretty proud of a lot of the pieces I'm making now, even if I don't consider them the absolute best I could possibly do, but hey, that's what striving further is for, and as long as I can get more of a formula down for consistency, which Artfight has actually helped me a lot there, then hopefully I'll be good as golden. Now all I need to do is actually approve my artwork. And, well, that is everything about my history as of now. It was a long one, but let's conclude this with an epilogue and talk about the future. Because, honestly, the future for me is looking pretty exciting. Maybe in both a fearful and a positive way. Part 5. A conclusion and a look into the future. Okay, now that I actually fully retrospected on my content now, what do I take away from this? Well, I want to take away the fact that I grew a lot during my time on the internet. It proves that people who are kind of immature asshats can grow up to be nice people. Of course, this is a simplified version of my history, and I made a fair bit, but hopefully you enjoy the romp, especially if you follow me for years on end. I might do more of this type of stuff, you know? The future for me is looking rather nice, but also a little worrisome. Graduating from high school and going to college and hopefully getting my driver's license, the future looks exciting, but with the liberal market getting a lot more rabid and that rabid style becoming more mainstream, the economy heading in a pretty bad direction as of now, and how am I going to find a good permanent job, and how the fuck am I going to deal with taxes in the house when I eventually reach that point? Of course, all this isn't bringing me down, but I still worry about my future a little bit. Life's going to be taking me along its very strange path, and hopefully I can adapt there. I say hopefully because there's going to be a lot of ways to go. Even from a mental maturity, I still feel like I'm a little mentally stunted, so I think I might have to learn a few things before I fully manage to adapt to this world. Still though, my optimism will keep going up and hopefully it will keep staying. Of course to you guys this doesn't really matter that much, I mean you guys ain't going all of my business, so what's gonna be next for my content? Well, hopefully I should be getting a laptop for college, and thus I can get to you doing my usual business at college. This applies to both videos and art, but I feel art might take a bit more of a priority since that's a lot easier to do overall compared to videos. This is the best case scenario, but hopefully everything will go according to plan and content will go ahead normally. If not, well, there's always a way to do scripts, and I could do the rest of the process during vacations and breaks, so hopefully that'll not affect me too much. Even if it does limit me to uploading during one season, but that's a sacrifice I have to probably make for this channel, so yeah, let's hope that doesn't happen. But yeah, no matter what happens, the Spacey legacy is still going to be a great one for me, and I'm still going to be happy about it no matter what. So yeah, that's all I really have to say in the video. Over 5,800 words said, and just under 45 minutes of audio. This is my magnum opus project, which will hopefully remain my proudest video yet, and it'll be very great to see all you guys' reaction to it once this releases. But for now, this is me, Spacey, signing off. Bye!